Hey, friends, we're live. Let's see. It is April 28th, 2021, and this is episode 11, The Art of Transformation. So, welcome to the live show, guys. I do one of these every week. Um, I was talking, I sent an email out to my community list every week, and this week I prompted them to come here. So, if you're here, hello. If you're catching the replay, hello too. But this week we're going to talk about transformation. So, in the last few weeks, each week I do this and I kind of build on a personal development topic. So, we've been talking about gratitude, coaching, we've talked about mindset, life purpose, values, habits. So, today I wanted to kind of talk about how we can wrap all that together and really change our lives, right? So when we talk about transformation, whether that's finding your way into recovery, whether that's about food, weight loss, fitness, going back to school, getting a new degree, changing careers, whatever that is, when we talk about transformation, what we're really talking about is becoming a different human being. And so I can think of my own life. I've learned a lot from the times I've had to change, right? Behavior change can be challenging, but I've learned a lot. And I think that's how we create true wisdom in our lives. Is we find ourselves in situations where we want to change, and we follow through, and we become different humans. And somewhere along the lines of doing a lot of that self stuff myself, I came to find that some essential values I hold, some habits that I have put in place in my life that have led me to be really, I'll just say, a lot more comfortable with who I am. So I do well-being. That's my coaching niche, is well-being. That involves food, fitness, self-care, emotional resilience, transformation, life purpose, all that. And I'm in the process of putting out, in the next 5 months, I'm writing my book, and I'm hoping by January 2022 I'm going to have my well-being book out, which will be a book it'll be nonfiction, so it'll be about my story, but it'll also be about a lot of my theories and my modalities and the strategies I use to help people transform. But when we're talking about transformation, like I said, we have to realize we're trying to change who we are at the core. Because if we find ourselves in a situation where, who knows, we hate the job we're in, right? We're burnt out, or we're massively overweight, we've got a health crisis on our hands, we're morbidly obese, we have hypertension, we have problems with chronic illnesses. We are in a situation where we need to change. And it can be hard to do that. It can be hard to elevate ourselves to a consciousness where we decide we're going to take responsibility for that. That usually involves kind of untangling the messes we find ourselves in and some of our relationships and different things, and we have to change. Before we can change, we have to own that and take responsibility. So I always call that having the awareness, owning it, and then taking the action. So, but let's imagine, in whatever way that was, if we go back to the core values concept, right? So, like, I have a big core value of family. And a few years ago, I was working in a job, very corporate environment, where I was always stressed out. I was really burnt out. And so work wasn't really fun. In fact, I thought about quitting every single day I clocked in, and family life was suffering because I was so stressed out. I always say, when you get to the point where you don't enjoy the weekends because you're worried about going back, you're in trouble. Because if you're worried about work outside of work, then they're not paying you for outside of work. And so factor in your hourly wage there. If you add it in, checking the email at home, all the worry and the anxiety, factor in your hourly wage, and then figure out what they're getting you for. And that will be very eye opening. But that's one example, right? So I had this value of family. And when I was really dealing with corporate burnout, family life wasn't as good because I was stressed out. I wasn't present. I'm here, but I'm not here. And so there was a value conflict. So my values are like hard work, family, faith, creativity, intuition, business, entrepreneurship. So when I have a conflict with my values, I'm not really showing up in the world as who I really am. And that's really how we kind of screw ourselves over. We don't really show up in the world as the people we want to be. And to be quite honest, and I guess as I get a little older, I'm finding this, but if we consistently go out and violate our values and do work we don't find meaningful because it pays well, or because we think that's what's expected of us, or we think, oh, this is a great opportunity, I'm lucky, I should do this, or with whatever, if we're not in the right relationships, if we're in toxic relationships or whatnot, if we consistently violate our values, we're showing up in the world when we're out of alignment. We're not authentic to who we really are. And if you do that for long enough, and this has happened to me in multiple seasons of my life where I've kind of woken up to this truth. If you do this for long enough, you no longer show up as who you are and you kind of forget who you are. Or even worse, you can wake up one day and not even know who you are, what you want to be, or what you want to do. And that's a very crazy place to be. It's a lost place. You know, I had a midlife thing where that kind of happened to me and I made a bunch of changes. And actually, on the back end of that, it was such an amazing journey to fail hard. Like I quit corporate America. You know, it was not planned. It was like, this is terrible. I'm going to do something else. And I spun that into a sabbatical and I took some time off and I had a lot of fun and I wrote a lot and built some websites and started working on a company and built a company and started public speaking and doing all this stuff. So um, I would say that particular failure turned into a transformation, and that transformation taught me a lot. It was core to who I am, and it's been a big part of my work and my life purpose and my life mission. So that's one example I used where I needed to change, I needed to transform. I was out of alignment with my values, and when I got that back right, I feel a lot better, right? So remember, I always talk about this. You have a core value set and you have a skill set, right? And if you find yourself in a scenario where your core values are good and your skill set, you're competent at what you're doing, that combination lined up with principles and some good spirituality and a life mission, you're going to do really well. You're going to find ways that you can really move forward with life. It's much easier and much more efficient if you're operating and you're competent with what you're doing and it's in alignment with who you are. It's fun. It's going to be a lot less exhausting to do life that way. And the one thing that I would say as a life coach, or you know, I coach people and I have these conversations where I'm trying to help people to become the best versions of themselves. It's a really big deal when you step into that world and decide you want to play the game that way. That I'm going to be who I want to be. You know, I took a lot of risk. I took a lot of risk, and luckily, man, I'm just surrounded with people that really love me, and I kept those people close and I just kept plugging away. And so, but I'm in alignment with who I really want to be today, and that's amazing because then you can just show up as you and be with all the people who love you. You know, and what I always say is, as you start to transform, as you start to change, whether that means leaving a job, whether that means leaving a relationship, whatever that is, as you start to change, you will probably be well received by some people and some people won't resonate with who you're trying to become. And that's okay. I would say just double down on all the people that are still around and take a moment to really think about what you want out of life. You know, the outline for my book is about well-being as a state that we create, right? And there's different realms of that. And for me, there's physical health, there's relationships, there's money, there's all these different factors that go into our well-being. You know, wellness isn't just, you know, protein shakes or going to the gym or whatever. You know, it's not just those are very surface level things. Our wellness goals aren't ends in and of themselves. Wellness kind of radiates out of a sense of inner peace and contentment and joy, really at the core of us when we're really in alignment with who we are. So I know for years I drove myself crazy because I was a yo-yo dieter, and I really thought that that was the ends. Like that was I'm going to lose the weight, right? And what I found was actually now that I've focused a lot more on some of the traits and habits that bring me peace, some of the relationships that I find really wonderful. Now that I focus on that, I feel a lot better all the time, and it's not such a big deal to eat clean or go to the gym or meditate or do any of these things or write or work on my company or work on my business or do any of these things because they just naturally flow out of who I am. And there's a much deeper sense of peace there, you know. And as I finish up here, I'm almost at 10 minutes. I want to say, and I think that this gets lost in translation a lot when it comes to people in the personal development space, motivation, whatever, coaching, is that it's okay to have hard days. It's okay to be anxious. It's okay to be frightened. It's okay to get stuck and stagnant and need to change. Everyone needs to transform, right? Oh, you're probably going to find yourself over and over in situations where things aren't working, and you're going to need to change your behaviors and plot out a new course, you know? And so I think about that all the time, and I remind people it's a daily choice, right? Well-being and wellness, it's actually hundreds of choices. It's a commitment to saying, I'm going to tap into who I really am and who I want to be, and I'm going to choose every single day. It's the amount of sleep I get. It's the people I hang out with. It's being in meditation. It's being in prayer. It's doing work I find meaningful. It's really digging in and really making commitments in long-term relationships to really give your time where you want to give it. Give it to the people you want to give it to. Give it to the projects you want to do. You're only going to get to live once, that we know of anyway. So it's really trying to find that time to really invest in who you want to become and what you want to become. And if you ever find yourself out of sync with that, it's no big deal. It's just a one day at a time deal, right? And then it's always about that shift. I always say that. I said it a few minutes ago. Become aware, own it, and take action. Every single moment in your life is a moment where you can start over. You know, what's that? There's a great quote. I forget who said it. It's probably misquoted by a bunch of different people, but it's, you know, you're under no obligation to be the person you were 5 minutes ago, right? It's some form of that, right? You can choose to change every day, any moment, right now if you want. Why not right now? Why not you? Why can't you have everything you want? So anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you're live, or if this is on Facebook, there's ways to get to my homepage through this Facebook profile, or just go to adamstevenscoaching.com, sign up for my community list. You can find the replay for all of my live shows on the hub. I'm also on YouTube, adamstevenscoaching.com. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching a replay if you're on the replay, and have a great day.